In this short visit to the real side, I appeared to be indoors on the ground first, as you would call it, floor, at home somewhere, and was aware of at least one other person off to my right, but out of my line of sight. Wherever we were appeared to be under attack, and we were watching through a window a modern-looking jet bomber high up above the rooftops in the distance, bombing the town. Instead of the usual bomb-shaped bomb, however, it released a large white object, cubic in shape and with what looked like two black straps round it. It had rounded edges like a wrapped-up parcel. The object disappeared behind the houses, then appeared again after seemingly bouncing back, to then again drop back out of sight, followed by a deafening bang and a mass of flames and smoke rearing up to the sky. Apparently we had seen several of these weird bombing runs from distance, but then a plane appeared practically overhead and released a similar object far too close for comfort. Expecting the worst, we were surprised to see the white whatever it was hit the ground, bounce up again and drop down harmlessly once again, sitting there looking rather sorry for itself. There the dream ended. My thoughts on this: the silent, not properly visible, only other person in this dream could have been a real guide, showing that, as always, they are there in any seeming crisis situation. I feel also the dud bomb seems to underline this. I can't help feeling the being may have been more than an onlooker. The strange shaped bombs, looking more like large parcels with a nasty sting in their tails, could represent ideas, obviously bad ones. Ideas coming to me ensconced on the personal physical plane, as symbolised by the ground floor in the house scenario. But the idea involving the guide was obviously the right one, and clearly the way forward. That's all on that one. Duane's got any comments, please?
There's somebody always with you, whether you see them or not, and simply, like a parent taking a child to the park or the zoo to see what's going on, and simply showing you what's taking place. And yes, with the COVID and everything else, with the vaccines, there you go. You look at these things, they're like big sugar cubes or whatever. So it's to entice people, isn't it? And you're being bombarded. We're all being bombarded by these things, so it's quite obvious. So you learn to recognize it, and it's just simply showing you what's going on. So it is up to you how you prepare for this. That's always your decision, how you're going to prepare for all of this. So yes, thank you for sharing, Peter.
Right, okay, thanks for that. I've got another one just to run past you. Yet another dream with my old dad as prominent player. We seem to be in, I believe, an upstairs room in a house, and one evidently in need of a long shelf high up on a windowless wall. I seem to have mentioned this fact to my dad, and within minutes he had put together a large shelf complete with suitably made wooden brackets and had put it in place high up on the wall. It only remained for me to tighten up all the various screws and nuts and bolts to complete the job, which, climbing on a large stool or similar, I proceeded to do. During the course of this, I was vaguely aware of somebody else entering the room and speaking to us. The scene changed, and I was in a different, I believe, downstairs room again, with only my old dad present. I was holding a large, square kind of book, although in both shape and thickness it looked more like a big glossy calendar. However, it opened right to left like a book, rather than bottom to top like a calendar. My dad was sitting in an armchair. I believe, and I stood next to him, leafing through the pages. Rather than leaning over and showing him the pages, I seemed to be trying to describe them. They had a strange miscellany of pictures, and some pages had strangely coloured large crossword type puzzles on them. I knew my dad liked doing crosswords. I was just about to tell him the book was the first in a regular weekly or monthly series I had ordered for him when the dream ended. Thoughts on this? Being so short and at first sight so mundane in nature, it's not easy to read any common themes to the two scenes. Perhaps the need to do something for each other, in my case in scene 2 out of gratitude, perhaps for the help I was given in scene 1. Was there any evidence of real universal guides present? Possibly none, but then possibly two, if you take into account the somewhat vague visitor in scene 1. As I either could not hear nor remember what he or she said, and could not see him or her, it's really impossible to know now what their contribution to the proceedings was. The father figure, however, was certainly visible, and in scene 1 at least very proactive, and could very well have been a real guide. Perhaps he was showing me that he, or indeed they, if the other figure was indeed another guide, could only help me so far, and the rest was up to me to do, to advance on the real side, being upstairs, apparently. Perhaps in the second scene, significantly back downstairs, that is the personal physical plane, the dad figure was indeed my long deceased parent, and I was being reminded of the colossal debt I owe him and my mother for the wonderful life they both created and maintained for me on the physical plane. And I'm afraid that's the end, and that's the end of that one. So.
Okay, so yes, you go to the real side, which is the second story, and you're putting up shelves there. And so basically, why are you putting up shelves? Okay, so there's an agreement there. And what do you do with shelves? You put things on them, memorabilia, books, etc., don't you? You know, things that you want to keep around, etc. So, you know, you see where your attention is with that, then back downstairs. And the book is, you're describing it as big, thick, and square. Okay, so, and it has all kinds of stuff in it. So again, this is a personal thing, and being square, it's like the old saying, when people are square, there used to be a saying in the 50s with the kids, whatever, they used to call their parents squares, and that is, you know, mental mind stuff, etc. And the book displays that. So again, and the guides, you know, you have to understand that's all they are. Just like if you're going to go on a tour. It's like if you're on a tour bus, okay, the bus takes you there, but they don't do anything. They just simply show you what's going on. And sometimes they will do things, but we really have to expect ourselves to do it because we're big now. And the guidance is there, okay? But it's not so much about the guidance, all right? Yes, that it is very essential. The guide is simply showing you how to decide, you know, wake up to seeing your decisions and what you're making. Okay, so as an example, the shelves, if that's what you want to do, if you're agreeable to that and you're in that action, etc. But you know, it's like anything. You know, it's like Sheriff Mack. Okay, he was the sheriff. And then one day you saw this woman with a carload of kids go through a stop sign. So he goes up there and, you know, turns his sirens on and goes and gets her and stops her and then comes up to her and then all of a sudden sees all this going on in her car and she's trying to calm down the kids and whatever. And all of a sudden it's a wake-up call for him. You know, she ran the signal. So what's the idea? What's the protocol? Oh, the protocol, the routine is give her a ticket. Okay, that's the law, whatever. Okay, so do we have a personal decision here? Well, he decided no, he didn't do it. And that moment there changed his whole life. So every time you have these experiences and you just let them be accordingly, then that's what they are. The guys don't do anything, all right? They're showing you how to wake up your awareness. So you decide through all those actions that you're seeing, they're showing you things about yourself that you decide to see or not. And that's part of your wake up, because it's not going to just be done for you. You really have to decide and figure it out. So again, if I were in that experience, we're putting up shelves, and I've had many experiences like this, we all go through it. I would stop and say, you know what, I'm not doing this. What are these shelves for? What am I going to put on these shelves? Huh? Little knickknacks and stuff like on your fireplace and old books to keep here that you're emotionally attached to, etc., and drag this stuff around. Well, if that's what you want, then you just let it be, because it's just going to stay there like the stuff in your attic, or you decide to clean it out and create a new position. That's always up to you.